Okay, so like with all the other passages, in order to clarify the process of how you answer certain questions, we're not going to go over the questions in order. Instead, we're again going to go over them in groups based on how you approach answering the questions. So remember, with a paired passage, you want to read that first passage and then answer questions that are about the first passage only. And as you answer the questions, you'll get a better understanding of the passage. Then you read the second passage. And as you read that second passage, you have two jobs. One, understand the passage itself, and two, understand how the passage relates back to the first passage. Okay, now that we have finished going over the questions that ask about passage A and passage B separately, let's look at the last set of questions, those that ask about both passages. So remember, as you answered the questions, you were getting a better sense of the individual passages, and now it is time to think about how the passages relate to one another. So let's start with number 7. Which of the following passages is concerned that the federal government will overpower the state governments? Okay, let's start by rephrasing the question. Which passage thinks that the federal government has too much power, right? Maybe so much power that it will overpower the state governments? Well, passage A, put simply, is about the central government is too strong and states don't have enough or much power. And passage B, put pretty simply, is about how the author thinks that the power should be with the federal government, right? So choice A, which is passage A, is the correct answer. Now our last two questions go together because question 12 is asking you to select the best support for your answer to question 11. And these are the finding evidence questions that you've done in the past. So, as done before, we start by reading question 11. Based on both passages, it can be inferred that. Okay, the only way to answer this question is to look through the answer choices first. And remember, if just one element of the answer is incorrect, then you can eliminate the choice. So let's look at choice A. The author of passage B would agree with the author of passage A that the sovereignty of the state governments should be paramount. Okay, let's ignore the author of passage A for a moment. Would the author of passage B agree that the sovereignty of the state government should be paramount? No, the author of passage B thinks that the power should be with the federal government. Okay, so choice A is out. Choice B says both authors are mainly concerned with foreign dangers threatening the federal government. Now, both authors are definitely focused on state and federal government and the balance of power. So choice B is out. Choice C says the author of passage A would agree with the author of passage B that the strength of the legislative branch needs to be lessened. Okay, well, we know that the legislative branch is a part of the federal government. So the only author that would agree with lessening the power of the federal government is the author of passage A, not both authors. So choice C is out. Now, if you are trusting your process of elimination, even if choice D is not what you expected, you know it's the correct answer simply because you eliminated the other choice with clear and specific reasons. But let's go ahead and look at the answer. Choice D, the author of passage A would disagree with the author of passage B that a strong union is necessary to protect the inalienable rights and security of the people. All right, let's take the second part first. Is it true that the author of passage B thinks a strong union is necessary to protect the inalienable rights and security of the people? Yes, remember, passage B is all about the power should be with the federal government. Okay, so now the first part. And would the author of passage A disagree? Yes, right? Because passage A is all about how the central government is too strong and states don't have enough power. Okay, so now that we know that the correct answer to number 11 is choice D, the author of passage A would disagree with the author of passage B that a strong union is necessary to protect the inalienable rights and security of the people. All right. So this means that the next step is to find the excerpt from the passage, right, that's going to prove that that's true. So a brief look at the answer choices, and we see that the first two excerpts are from passage A, and the second two choices, right, those excerpts are from passage B. So let's think about this. For the passage A excerpts, in order to support our answer from number 11, it would have to show that the author of passage A does not agree that a strong union is necessary to protect, right? Or that the author of passage A may be like the opposite of that, right? It thinks the federal government is too strong. So let's look at choice A. This government is to possess absolute and uncontrollable power, legislative, executive, and judicial, with respect to every object to which it extends. Okay, well, that's pretty much the opposite of what we were looking for. We want something that says less power for the central government, so choice A is out. Let's try choice B, right? Also from passage A. It appears from these articles that there is no need of any intervention of the state governments between the Congress and the people to execute any one power vested in the general government. Again, this excerpt does not work because we need something that shows that the author of passage A would disagree with the author of passage B about the strong union, right? Okay, so we have to look at our other two choices. So these are excerpts from passage B. So that means that these are going to show that the author of passage B believes in this strong union, right? Or maybe that the author of passage B thinks that the federal government should have this power. So let's look at choice C. The adversaries to the plan of the convention have exhausted themselves in the possible consequences of the proposed degree of power of the governments of the particular states. Ooh, do you remember this part? This is the part in passage B that talks about how instead of answering the question of the power of the central government, people are asking this second question regarding the power of the states. So even though he's talking about asking a question about this, it's not the same thing as saying that the author of passage B supports strong central government. So we're going to rule out choice C. What does this mean? It means that if we trust our process of elimination, then choice D is correct simply because we have eliminated the other choices. But let's go ahead and look at it. If, in a word, the union be essential to the happiness of the people of America, it is not preposterous to urge as an objection to a government that such a government may derogate from the importance of the governments of the individual states. I don't know about you, but I was kind of hoping for something more like strong central government is essential. But if you remember from our discussion from question 9, when we went through this, right, we had rephrased all of this to mean to urge as an objection to a government that such a government may reduce or turn away from the importance of the governments of the individual states. So, in other words, the strength of the government will not come from the states, but from the central or federal government. So choice D does in fact support that the author of passage B thinks a strong central government is necessary to protect the inalienable rights and securities of the people. Now, I will say that you could have saved yourself some time and just selected D if you trust that you had accurately eliminated the other answer choices, yeah? So basically, the only reason that you need to verify a remaining choice is correct is if you're uncertain about your process or reasons for eliminating the other choices. But if you know that the other choices are incorrect, then even if the remaining choice is not quite what you expected, it is correct simply because it's been determined to not be wrong, right? So you must have reasons for eliminating answers so that you can trust yourself during the process of elimination. Well, great work. These paired passages were tough. I mean, that was some dense text. So, how you feeling? Pretty good, I hope. And by now, you have had an opportunity to read each of the different passages, and you have been exposed to all the question types. So, what are you going to take with you as you move forward to the reading comprehension section of the tests? Well, I know you know by now that the best practice makes plain and clear the process that you will follow. So, what methods work best for you? What do you do that is effective and efficient? Are there still changes that you need to make or continue to make? Do you need to change how you approach reading the passage, maybe hearing your brain voice, or skimming, or rephrasing? Or do you need to change how you approach answering the questions? Are you answering in your own words first, reading the answer choices first, having clear and specific reasons to eliminate choices? Do you know exactly what you're looking for before you return to the passage? Remember, with each passage and questions that you complete, you really are becoming more efficient and effective. So keep paying attention to the methods and keep practicing. Or even better, keep reading a wide variety of material.